In 2013, the world watched a movie about the most brazen financial criminal in American history. A story about a man who stole hundreds of millions from ordinary investors, threw parties on super yachts, bribed regulators, and walked away with barely a scratch. Everyone assumed it was just a movie, but the real scam wasn't on screen. The movie glorifying Wall Street fraud was itself funded by the single largest financial heist in human history. Someone has stolen $4.5 billion from an entire country's future and used it to throw Hollywood's most expensive party. I'm the debt architect, and today we go behind the curtain that Hollywood desperately doesn't want you to pull back. To understand this story, you need to understand one government fund, 1MDB, One Malaysia Development Berhad, established in 2009 by Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak. On paper, 1MDB was a sovereign wealth fund, a government vehicle designed to invest in Malaysia's future. Schools, infrastructure, energy projects, the retirement of an entire nation, 32 million people, was theoretically tied to this fund. Between 2009 and 2013, 1MDB raised over $6.5 billion in bonds, with Goldman Sachs helping structure the deals. The money was supposed to flow into legitimate investments. Instead, it was flowing out into a labyrinth of shell companies spread across the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, and Singapore. A financial architecture so complex, it took the FBI years to untangle it. And at the center of this labyrinth, one man who almost nobody had heard of, Jho Low, a Malaysian financier of Chinese descent, educated at the Wharton School of Business, soft-spoken, unremarkable in appearance, and absolutely extraordinary in one specific skill, making powerful people feel like the most important person in the room. By his late 20s, Jho Low had somehow become a fixture at the most exclusive parties in New York, LA, and the French Riviera. He was spending money at a scale that made Wall Street bankers look modest. The question everyone was too distracted to ask was simple: where was it all coming from? The answer, investigators would eventually discover, was a direct pipeline from 1MDB. A government fund meant for 32 million Malaysians was being treated as Jho Low's personal ATM, and he had very expensive taste. Now, here's where the story becomes almost too absurd to believe. Jho Low didn't just want to be rich. He wanted to be legitimate. He wanted Hollywood. In 2010, a new production company called Red Granite Pictures was founded in Los Angeles, co-founded by Riza Aziz, the stepson of Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak, the very man who had set up 1MDB. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, over $100 million in funds traceable back to 1MDB flowed directly into Red Granite Pictures. A brand new production company, with no track record, somehow had the capital to greenlight one of Hollywood's most expensive films. The film they chose to make? A Martin Scorsese-directed, Leonardo DiCaprio starring epic about the most notorious financial fraudster in American history, Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. Let me be very clear about what just happened. Money stolen from Malaysian citizens, their infrastructure, their schools, their retirement, was used to fund a Hollywood blockbuster about stealing from investors, starring the most famous actor in the world, directed by one of cinema's greatest legends. The film made over $390 million globally. It received 5 Academy Award nominations, and at the 2014 Golden Globe Awards, as Leonardo DiCaprio accepted his award, he thanked the production company by name. He thanked Riza Aziz, and he thanked his good friend, Jho Low. A standing ovation for a speech that unknowingly thanked the architect of the largest sovereign wealth fund theft in history. Because while Red Granite was making movies, Jho Low was living in a manner that had no rational explanation. A 300-foot super yacht named the Equanimity, worth $250 million. A New York penthouse, a Bombardier private jet, a Picasso painting, a Basquiat, a Monet, and a $35 million pink diamond necklace gifted to his companion, Australian model Miranda Kerr. Conservative estimates suggest Jho Low spent over $1 billion of stolen funds on his personal lifestyle in under 5 years. In 2016, the United States Department of Justice made an announcement that sent shockwaves through 3 continents. The DOJ filed a civil forfeiture complaint against assets it claimed were purchased with funds stolen from one MDB. They called it the Kleptocracy Asset Recovery Initiative, and the numbers were staggering. Over $1 billion in assets on U.S. soil alone, properties in New York and LA, the rights to the Wolf of Wall Street itself, and a Picasso painting that had been gifted to a certain Oscar-winning actor. In Malaysia, the political fallout was immediate. Prime Minister Najib Razak, who had inexplicably had $681 million deposited into his personal bank account, which he claimed was a donation from the Saudi royal family, lost the 2018 election in a historic upset. He was subsequently arrested, tried, and convicted on charges of corruption and money laundering. He is currently serving a 12-year prison sentence. Red Granite Pictures agreed to pay $60 million to resolve U.S. government claims that it had used stolen funds. No admission of guilt, but $60 million returned. Leonardo DiCaprio, who has never been accused of any wrongdoing, voluntarily handed over assets he had received as gifts, including a Picasso painting, a Basquiat, and, in perhaps the most surreal moment of this entire saga, an original Oscar statuette once belonging to Marlon Brando, gifted to him by Jho Low, worth over $1 million. And Jho Low himself, he vanished. In 2018, the US DOJ indicted Jho Low on multiple federal counts of money laundering and bribery. Interpol issued a red notice. Malaysia issued an arrest warrant. He was wanted on 4 continents, and he has not been found. As of today, Jho Low remains one of the world's most wanted financial fugitives, believed to be living under the protection of the Chinese government, possibly in Macau or mainland China. Here is what makes this story unlike any other financial crime in history. It didn't happen in the shadows. It happened on red carpets, at Golden Globe ceremonies, on super yachts photographed by paparazzi, in a movie that 30 million people watched, without knowing that the very credits they were reading listed the names of men who had stolen from an entire nation. Jordan Belfort's crime was selling worthless stocks to greedy investors. It was brazen. It was criminal. But Jho Low's crime was something else entirely. He stole the retirement of 32 million people. He laundered it through the most glamorous industry on earth, and he made the world applaud him for it. The question this story always ends with, did Leo know? Did Martin Scorsese know? The official answer is no. Neither man has been accused of wrongdoing, but I'll leave you with this. When a 27-year-old Malaysian financier with no film background walks into Hollywood and hands you $100 million to make your dream project with your dream director, do you ask where the money came from, or do you just say thank you? Hollywood is very good at telling stories about wolves. It's considerably less good at recognizing them in the room. I'm the Dead Architect. If this story made you feel something, and it should, drop a comment below. Tell me, do you think DiCaprio knew? Or is Hollywood just too comfortable looking the other way when the check clears? And if you want to understand how financial systems are manipulated at the highest levels, subscribe, because this is just the beginning.